Well, about the river, if I look around, okay, this river, we're surviving out of this river. We always fish there. It's where we always survive. Through that one. Drinking, we get from there. Washing, we get from there. Also, in fact, most of the things we always get from this river. And once, if we fail all this, they stopped us from using this river, I don't know where we shall go.
The Nile Basin is home to 180 million people. By 2050, the population will have more than doubled. Water resources are already under pressure across the basin, so how will the river cope with this huge rise in population? And how can sustainable development be assured for the governments and the peoples of the 10 Nile countries as demand for water increases?
The river is a living system, like any living system, and if it is abused, it can die. Imagine a scenario where everybody is utilizing the water for irrigation inefficiently. The withdrawal is so much. The minimum environmental flow required to sustain the river and the associated ecosystems would be completely depleted. You would have a river that is trickling, that could dry in the deserts of Sudan or Egypt.
Like many great rivers, the Nile has more than one source. The river's waters cross national boundaries and are crucial to the livelihoods of millions of people in the basin.
We need water for agricultural production, we need water for energy, we need water to maintain the environment, we need water for fishery. We do understand that this water is also a transboundary resource. It's a common resource.
To the north of the basin, the largely arid states of Egypt and Sudan are almost solely dependent on the Nile for access to fresh water. With rapid population growth and developing economies increasing the pressure on water resources, the need for dialogue and cooperation between countries is critical.
Nile water is very limited for the Egyptians because we have no other sources. The rain in Egypt is the less because Egypt is number one in the desert states in the whole world, according to the study which been published by UNESCO in 1953. The cooperation between Egypt and Ethiopia is very, very, very important because 85% from the water in the Nile to Egypt comes from Ethiopia, the Ethiopian plateau especially. So the cooperation should be more, and we have to make together a lot of projects to increase the collection of water from the basin.
We have to protect the river and to also benefit from the river. We have to really cooperate on the development and management of the Nile.
But until the 1990s, basin-wide cooperation was difficult to achieve as countries pursued their own development agendas without a strong basis for discussions.
We have a history of conflict where there's been a lot of mistrust among the basin countries, and they needed a forum where they could come together and discuss freely issues concerning the management and utilization of the Nile. So it's one of the most critical issues here in the Nile Basin.
A number of factors compelled countries to come together to work out a way to manage this resource, the water resource, cooperatively. The countries realized the growing demand. Population growth, demand for irrigation, for hydropower, for a number of urban municipal water supply and so forth. So growing demand on the same river system, and the realization that continuing the path of unilateral utilization would eventually threaten the continued existence of the river itself.
To build cooperation and ensure that water resources were managed effectively, the Nile Basin Initiative was set up in 1999 by the basin countries as a framework for